fail it, right? So
the
same way,
valid name.
right. So if I give you, right, and that's where I was pointing it, that look at the design document, it has all of the fields required to create a dealer user. Now, some of them are mandatory and some of them are optional, right? So
right.
if I don't provide a first name and a last name, will you be able to create a dealer user?
No.
Right. So that leads to your negative scenario, right? And why did you say no, right? Because the first name and last name is required because your user ID or username is going to create based on the first character of the first name and the last name. So if I don't provide first name or last name, there is no way for me to create the username. Therefore, it will fail to create the dealer user. Is everybody with me?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So think around those possibilities, right? Those becomes your negative test cases. Is, hey, under this scenario, they should not be able to create dealer user.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
just
like,
writing down the requirement here,
so
right?
like, would that be like identical? He would not be able to create a dealer user like I put it, like if he has an identical first and the last name.
Well, what did
Or
we talk on a Sunday? If it is identical first name and last name, what is the system supposed to do?
then first initially he should put it as dealer 1 and 2, like basically Bob Smith 1 and then Bob Smith 2 sequence.
Okay, so
first,
now
first they will do only Bob Smith.
Right.
Then they will do Bob Smith 1, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So Herschel, go ahead.
as I was saying, that's a separate requirement listed. Okay, so you need to test each requirement individually. Okay, so you don't want to mix it up with this one because you will have more test cases for the other requirements. You have to test it separately. Okay, you don't want to lump sum with the RFREP dealer user and RFREP users. Now you can utilize it, maybe create one scenario around it, but that's a whole set of requirements. That I think how many test cases we identify for that.
Oh, okay.
What, 5 or 6 different ones, right? Just for that requirement, username one, right? Creating the username.
Right.
Right.
But that's a separate set of requirement. It will have its own tree
Okay.
in test cases. Okay, so let's not confuse here. But assuming that part is working, you don't worry about it because we're gonna test it separately. That part is working, so we're gonna focus only on can they create dealer plus RFAP user. And as Dilip said, once we have this those two branches, right? Create dealer user, create RFREP user. Now here you can have valid data, valid or required data, right? So you try creating with the valid or required info. So this would become your positive test case. Create dealer user with valid or required info. So what are you expecting at this point? What are you expecting if I have this test case like this? Or basically, if I'm trying to create a user providing valid input, then that is a positive scenario, right? I'm expecting user to be created successfully in the system. But if I supply invalid or missing info or missing required field,
Yeah, so he will not able to create that.
right?
Then.
So this would become your negative scenario, right? So you will have two different test cases creating, you gonna create a dealer user. So you, again, RFREP manager, right? So you're gonna log in as RFREP manager. Those are detailed things, right? Which we will talk about. But you will try to create a user, dealer user with the valid required information. That's your first test case or first scenario. And second one, you will try to do that with missing information. Same thing, you will have it here. Valid or invalid data.
Valid.
Oh, data. Valid.
Right? Invalid may or because you need to think it through. What makes it, what is invalid? You are saying it's you are not supplying all the required information. That will make it invalid or missing info, missing required fields.
Okay.
Right? That you need to think it through. I mean, just don't go by terminology, valid or invalid. I'm giving you example here. But what makes it invalid, you need to understand that. When you say it's a missing required fields, then you should not be able to create the user. You should expect to see some error message, basically, at that point.
So is that valid user info? Is that enough info data?
No, you need to spell it out, just like I said here, missing required field. But when you write the actual test case, that's where we're going to talk about, okay, what is the wording that you want to put in for the title and the scenarios and the actual test case. Okay. This is just to help you breaks down the requirement into what is that you need to test as a high level. Then you're going to write detailed step-by-step instructions, document that in tool or on piece of paper, and execute it later on when the software is ready. Okay.
Okay.
Does it make sense? I mean, I want to make sure you guys are thinking in terms of this, because this is important part. Okay, from your learning standpoint, in order to do this, you have to understand the requirement context. Who is doing the work? Which user? Here, Arfloan manager. Which module they are trying to working with? What is the business process? They are trying to create a new user here, or manage users in terms of the functionality. That's what they are utilizing. Once you understand that, then it becomes easier. Dilip, anything else? You have any other thoughts here as far as the scenarios?
Yep. No, I think those are the 4 basic scenarios that they need to think through it for this one.
Right. Okay.
So what can be the negative scenario? Scenario should be here.
So this would become a negative, right?
So think of this way, Juan.
Yes.
The 2 positive scenario, you have it where you're putting all of the required information, right? The negative scenario is you are not putting all of the required information. That means you're missing some data.
So at this point, when you supply invalid or missing required information, you're checking, am I still able to create a user without supplying the information? Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's your negative scenario. If you are not, then your negative scenario will pass, basically.
Okay. So are you on the same page now?
Right. Yes.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about everybody? Is the 4 scenario clear for you?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The last 2 doesn't seem real clear, but maybe when we go through the other examples, it probably will be better. So I'll just say I'm okay.
All right. Last 2, which last 2 you are saying here?
So Herschel, it might be like so Juan, if you stop sharing it, and Herschel, if you just draw it into our whiteboard, probably that'll get them clarity. Okay.
Which last 2 you are saying?
You're talking about the invalid one. I think he was looking at the diagram that Juan was sharing, and he had only 2. Now your branch has all 4, right?
Yep.
So Thomas, if you look at it, right, Herschel, like it's in this scenario, right? He said there are 2 branches. One is when I'm trying to create Arfloan users, and the other branch is when I'm trying to create dealer users. Now, when I'm taking on the left-hand side branch, when I'm trying to create Arfloan users, there are 2 scenarios. I will try to create with all of the required field that is valid data. In that case, I should be successfully creating the Arfloan users. The other scenario, which is on the right-hand side of that branch into that particular branch, is where he has put invalid, right? So let's say I needed a username, first name, last name, dealer information in order to create successfully Arfloan users. If I provide only the first name and last name and don't provide any other information, then I will not be able to create it because it is missing some data. So that scenario is called invalid data. Right? And the same thing then you repeat it for the dealer user by providing all the information and provide the missing data.
All right, got it. Thank
Got
you.
it?
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's go to the next requirement.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have a question on this one. The
Yes,
dealer,
Joyce.
yeah, I don't know how to share mine, but I'll send it to you. Let me see.
No, you can share. You should be able to share your screen here.
Because I went ahead and I think did too much more than it was required.
That's okay. Let's see if you have anything different.
Yeah, because I did the dealer user and first name, last name, and then franchise number for the
Okay, so you went in the data side of things. But let's see what you drew up. Okay.
So if you click on the bottom where there should be a green button called share screen,
Yes.
if you click on it and then click again to share it, then it'll share your whatever the machine from where you're doing.
Let me bring it up first. Okay, it's right here. You know, okay. I have it.
We
Yeah.
cannot see your screen yet, so that's the only thing.
Got it.
You have to
Okay,
share it. Yep.
share.
Yep. There you go. Yep. It's coming. Yep. Yep. It's there.
Okay, now share whatever your diagram is.
But it's
Yeah.
I'm holding it, so I'm supposed to share it.
It is sharing right now.
Your
So
screen.
open
yeah.
whatever the file where you have drawn the tree.
Oh. I just took a picture and
Yeah.
sent it to
Just show
her.
us the picture. Do you have a picture? You
have it,
sent.
yeah.
I think you sent me in the email, right?
I
So maybe
sent it
just
to
open.
you.
Yeah. Just open
Yes.
that from your
Yeah.
email, right? That picture.
Okay, go to my email. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to my email and then I click it
Yep.
out.
Yeah.
Where's my-
Just see in the sent items, and you will see it in the sent folder.
Okay. Oh, forgive. Hold on. Sent items. Mhm.
And if you, I'm not sure you sent me from this email or your personal emails or something. Do you want me to share it? Pull it
Yes,
up on mine? Okay.
yes,
All right.
please.
Okay, you can stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen again.
Click out of it.
Okay, do you know which one is that?
We're talking about the Alfred area manager. I've been able
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
So you send me a bunch, so I need to see it. Which
I
one
think
is
it's the
that?
second one. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the second one. 6.2,
Oops. Probably it's
6.2.
here. Yep, it's just loading.
Okay.
Okay, so area manager can create following user types, right? So dealer user, Arfloan user. Okay,
Yeah.
dealer user already in the system. So I see you went in the steps. Okay,
Okay.
Joy. So this is not how I would do it, because
Okay.
you have it for each field. So we
Mhm.
want to keep it at a higher level, right? So we never talked about like what fields they're gonna supply. All we said is try to create with the valid fields, valid information, try to
Yeah.
create with the invalid. We
Okay.
stop right there.
Okay.
And when you are actually writing details test case, that's where you can utilize all different things.
Okay.
What would be the dealer name? What would be the address, phone number? What is the valid information, basically?
Okay.
You can mention all those things.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But from tree scenario standpoint, you probably don't want to go like this. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So as I explained, you can break down basically at a high level, the way we discuss in the class. Basically.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's flip back to other requirements. I think once you get through few more, I think you guys will start understanding what we are discussing here. If something is not clear, we can certainly discuss further here, okay, for each requirement. All righty. So let me pull up the second one. Again, I said context is very important, right? So let's talk about 264 and see who wants to explain this requirement, or anybody wants to share their work on this. 264 loan calculator and 2.1 basically. 2.1 is the requirement. 264 is a module. Who has done this work? I guess this requirement.
Can I share again? I don't know if you want me to, I can share.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
Up in there. If anybody else wants to do that, please go ahead before I say yes to June. Anybody else wants to share?
I can just say that I'll just say I'm not sure. Basically, you can
That's
go.
fine. But can you share your screen first of all?
Okay, sure. 1 minute.
Yeah. Share your screen. See what you have produced. Then we can talk about it. And Jeevan, I'll let you share afterwards. Okay. See
Sure,
if you have
and,
anything different.
Yeah, now realize one thing, right? We are not looking whether it's right or wrong, right?
Right.
Unless you make an attempt, you won't know.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
what we want you to just make an attempt. The more the attempt you will make it, the better the understanding you will have it, and then you will get it right.
Yeah, 1 moment.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
just make it
can.
expand.
yeah.
Just expand a
Alright.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
so
it
this
bigger.
is
Yep.
This is
Okay.
what I just did. I was not sure. Need ability to calculate loan based on predefined calculations. So if you have a
So
time,
if you can explain the requirement, right? Always try to explain the requirement, what we are trying to do here, right? And who is
basically
doing the
trying
work? Who is doing the
calculate.
work?
Okay.
And what business process this requirement comes into play, right? Business
Okay.
process means like who is doing the work and at what time, or when they are executing or accessing this functionality.
Dealers. This is basically, the dealer, when the customer, when he has already, when the customer comes with the,
Okay.
for the loan, the dealer would just put in his details and calculate, do the calculation for the loan.
Okay. So that's where he's trying to calculate the payment, monthly payment from the system, right?
That's right.
Whatever based on the whatever amount, loan amount he's looking for, they need to repair the car. Okay, so that's the basic context, right? So
Right.
dealer is a user, so dealer is executing the work, and loan calculation is the process they are trying to execute. Okay.
Right. So he is able to do the calculation of the time period is for 60 months.
Okay.
That's the positive I feel here, and the negative.
So, okay, so you have 60 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question, Neha.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anywhere in the requirement it says that they can ask for a loan less than 60 months or greater than 60 months?
Anywhere in the requirement document, does it say that?
Right. So read the requirement, right?
Mm-hmm.
What requirement says that I need the ability to calculate loan payment based on a predefined calculation. And in
Right.
parentheses, it says it's always going to be 60-month time period.
Oh,
So you
gotcha.
don't even have the other two scenario where time is less than 60 months or greater than 60 months.
Maybe they understood the requirement not correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So think around it. What information you would need it to calculate monthly payment?
Amount.
So you need
Loan
an
amount.
amount. What
Right.
else you will need it?
Rate of interest.
Income.
All right.
And gross income, your
Gross in, yeah.
Well, do you need a gross income to calculate a
I
payment?
mean, no, like
Amount, interest,
No.
and time.
interest.
Right. So the time is already given to you,
Time.
right?
Right,
It's
some-
fixed.
yeah, right, yeah.
So
the
you need
rate-
an amount and interest, right?
That's right.
Now,
Yeah.
what do you understand by there is a word in the requirement called predefined calculation? What does that mean to you?
Predefined.
I mean, you just need to enter the amount and the time, and it will automatically calculate what would be the payment.
Because 60 is always there, right?
Is
Right.
already there.
It
So
will
we
always
just
be
enter
5
the
years.
amount and we get the result.
Okay. So do you think the requirement is clear or complete? I mean, what is missing here?
Right, it doesn't have the amount.
Predefined calculation.
Yeah, the formula or whatever.
Okay, formula, but what is missing from the formula? I mean, formula is
So-
pretty standard, right? I mean, in the financial world.
Right.
So I think based on the explanation you're giving, we may have three scenarios. The first one is the positive one, which is when you have all the information you have, which in this case will be the amount and the interest. So if you have all the information you have, you have a positive test to see what you get. And then the next scenario would be if, let's say you don't have the amount or you don't have the interest,
Oh.
would you still be able to calculate it? I think that would be the next scenario.
So
But
you
yeah, go
guys
ahead.
are like you're
Are we-
sort of thinking that what you needed, but you're missing the
Yeah.
definition, what it says, there is a predefined calculation. Right. So do you know what is that predefined calculation formula is?
No.
No.
Without
No,
that,
we
how are
don't.
you going to calculate your monthly payment?
Oh. So the requirement is not complete, basically.
And what part is not complete?
The predefined calculation. I mean, how we are doing the calculation.
Right. So again,
Yeah.
look at the requirement, analyze the requirement. Right. All it says that, hey, I'm going to be calculating the loan payment based on a predefined calculation. Have you seen that formula anywhere else in the document?
No.
So what does that mean? Did it pass your 3C and T?
No.
No. So we need to
So what
say to
kind of
developer
question
that
you're going to
this-
ask to Herschel, assuming Herschel is your end user or business user?
That we have insufficient information.
But what you have to be very clear in terms
We-
of if you're going to ask somebody
Yeah.
by just saying, I don't
So-
have enough information, that doesn't help that person.
So we'll ask Herschel, hey Herschel, we don't have the predefined calculation, how we are doing calculation. So we don't have that, I mean, how
Yep.
we are doing calculation that's are missing. So
Yeah, so provide the calculation for us so that we can create our testing
Test.
side of things, testing artifacts, test cases, and so forth. Okay, so that would be appropriate question.
Mhm.
And so business user will come back basically and say, oh, yeah, we missed that. So let me give you the calculation. So
okay.
even though it says 60 months time frame, it will always be 60 months, but I'm going to give you a little bit different calculation here and make sure you guys write it down all. Okay, because we're not going to repeat
Okay.
that later on in the class. It will be a
Okay.
3% of the loan amount. 3% of your monthly payment should be 3% of the loan amount. That is based on the general financial formula and 60 months time frame and so forth. Okay, so 3% of the loan amount, that's your calculation. That should be your monthly payment.
Okay.
So even
Alright.
though it says 60 months, but you're gonna ignore it and you're gonna I give you the new formula. That's what you're gonna utilize it.
So question, now based on the
So-
information that Herschel provided, what are the different scenarios you think that you need to worry about to prove
have
that you
one
have
more
ability to
question.
calculate the loan payment?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are not creating scenarios if they have the ability to calculate or not, are we?
Oh,
You
so
still
that's
have to
good
do
question. What are
scenario.
you testing? What are you testing? What are you trying to prove
Like if they
here
have the
in this
ability
requirement?
to calculate, are they able to actually calculate or
Is
they
that
are
what you are
failing
trying to
at the
do?
calculation?
Is that what you are trying to test here, or basically when you are saying the checking quality assurance things? What are you validating?
Well-
What does it mean here?
Well, it did say need ability to calculate, so the scenario would be to see if they have the ability or not, isn't it?
Well, there are two parts you have to think around it, right? First one is, do you have that feature where you can go and calculate it,
Yes.
right?
That's one.
And the second aspect is, when you calculate it,
Is
you
that
need to
correct?
validate the value or the results that you get it
Is that
Is
correct or not?
actually
is correct
or
results or
not?
not,
So it has two
right? So you have to
separate
think two
scenarios.
aspects, right? When you're validating
two
this
aspects.
requirement, right? So let's say first scenario, right? Goes back to what are the input data you needed? What is the input data you needed based on the discussion we had, based on the formula that Harshal gave you?
We need amount, we have the rate, and then we have the time.
So all you
Well-
need is amount, right?
Yeah,
Because Harshal said, hey, whatever the amount is, 3% of that is what it should calculate as a monthly payment,
right.
Yeah.
right? So now think around, you have one input parameters, and then you're going to get one output parameter, right?
Yes.
So what are the possible combinations now on that input output?
So if I give you calculator, right? You have to validate the calculator functionality. 2 + 2 = whatever, 4. If it gives me 3, is it working okay? That's a similar thing you are validating here, right? So just think of in terms of calculator. If you are testing 2 + 2 = 4, what are different things would you test it in those x + y = z, that equation, right? Well, what are the different things you would test, or different numbers you would input to make sure that calculation is working correctly?
Oh,
So
okay.
we
you
need to
mean on-
verify that. I mean, we need to verify the calculation is correct. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Right.
Like,
But
okay.
we
So that's a
give
goal,
different amounts,
right?
like
amount is
rounded amount, decimal amount.
That's
less
Yeah,
right.
than
That's
negative.
right.
That's
Right.
that's possible,
Zero.
right? So negative, positive.
Zero.
What if I type it down $100 instead of 100? What should system do?
100 by 60 and 3%.
I'm saying is that if I type in the word 100,
It
So
should
it should
fail.
be-
That's a
it should
negative
not-
number.
Yeah, it should not be able to calculate. It won't be able to calculate. So basically.
100.
right? So what it is you're saying is that you need a positive number as an information.
Yes.
So you need to test with a
Yeah.
positive number scenario. You need to test with a negative number scenario because somebody says it should not take a negative number,
Negative
right?
number or amounts or letters.
Okay.
all
Amount.
those
Letters,
should-
Oh,
right?
not-
So that's the
not true.
third scenario. What if $0? What should it present,
Then it would be zero.
right? So you may have to test that. That does it
Yeah.
take a value of 0? What happens if you don't provide any information and try to do the calculation?
It should fail.
It
It should give you, right? That, hey, you need to
Yeah.
provide me the data or provide me a number to calculate, right? So think around it. We just rattled off 5 scenarios right there.
Yeah, 6
And we
scenarios,
also
right?
test for the first aspect, like if they can actually calculate or not.
So you have one positive scenario,
Yeah.
right? And then multiple negative scenarios.
Right.
Yes.
Got it.
Now, this all can be different test cases, okay? So you cannot just lump sum into one test case. So this is one test case, this is number 2, this is number 3, this is 4, 5, 6. So you need to
Right.
document that as separately. When we talk on Sunday, we will know how to document that.
Okay.
But that would
Okay.
be, but it could give. So if you execute all 6 tests, the scenarios, whatever, then you can say, yep, this loan calculation is working correctly in the system, or whatever the functionality
Okay.
is behaving as expected.
So we
Okay.
need to check that all the test cases so that
Yep.
for final result. Okay.
Yep. Final result. Yeah. Before you say, yep, its functionality is good or not. Okay. All right. Does it make sense, this exercise?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right. All right. So context is very important. As I said, now you understand who would be doing the work, dealer, right? Because dealer has access to loan calculator. Can lender do that? No, probably not, right?
No,
So
no.
you need to put the different users hat. I mean, when you are writing your test cases and those things. Okay.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right.
Sharing.
Okay. So let's move on
Yeah.
to the next one. Okay.
Ability.
All right. So I think I'm gonna wait till this one at a little bit later. But let's see if we can do 2.2 first.
Okay.
Requirement 2.2. Has anybody created a scenario tree?
We create actually, but we overthink. So I don't know. Like we are getting now, like
Well,
how to do.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let's
Yeah.
talk through it, what you create, and say it's what adjustments you need to do.
Yep.
Okay. Jivan, are you able to screen your share?
Yeah, you go ahead and share it.
Yeah.
Who is that? Who was it speaking?
I think that was
Jivan
Bhagyashree,
has.
right?
Your Bhagat.
Yeah.
Anybody else
Yeah.
has it? Anybody else wants to share before you give these guys? Go ahead. Anybody else has it? Sneha, Joyce, Thomas. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Bhagat.
Jivan, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I can share.
Yeah. Okay.
So you say, can you able to see it?
You just need to make it bigger. Yep.
Yeah.
Zoom in a little
2.2,
bit.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's the one. All right. Just walk us through when this requirement comes into play. Who is doing the work, right? Just general context. Let's set the context first. So explain what is your understanding of this requirement.
Lender can only approve or reject.
Reject.
So
Application
what
when
happens before this? Before lender can approve or reject? When this requirement comes into play from the business process standpoint?
When they assign to do it.
The dealer sends the application to the
we
lender.
create.
Okay. So who was saying a dealer sends application? So you guys need to understand the flow.
The lender gets an email.
Yep. Lender gets an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Yeah. So you need to check. Yeah, you need to check the application. Okay.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
when lender get the notification, so he need to check the application and then check the data. I mean, everything is fine. Then he will approve or reject.
Okay. So that's the flow. Okay. So that's so your understanding of a flow is correct, right? So you guys understand when this requirement comes into play. So it's actually lender logging into the system and doing the work, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Now we have the context of the business
But
process.
how would they be accessing the applications through the email or?
Well, they get an email, right? But then they're gonna log into the system, pull up that requirement or pull up that application, and they're gonna either approve or reject that application based on the information they see in the application, right?
Yeah. So have you guys looked at that page flow diagram on the system design document? How they are planning to build the functionality? There's a big diagram all the way at the end in the system design.
Oh, the
document.
functional development. Sorry,
Not the functional.
functional.
It's called page flow diagram. Like who logs in, what page they log in, and how they get onto.
Oh, the functional requirement diagram.
Okay, so you probably haven't seen it, so I would strongly suggest you look at that diagram, so to get more understanding of how they are planning to build the system, right? What steps and other things. But now I think you have a general understanding, right? Basically, lender logs in and they somehow basically access the application, whatever is there in their queue. Let's just put it that they have kind of like a list of applications, and they will pick one or another. Right. So what are we trying to test here? What's the goal of the requirement testing here?
So lender able to approve or reject the application. I mean,
Okay, lender. So lender should be able to do either of them, right? One of the action.
Yeah.
On the application. Okay, gotcha. So your scenarios here. Now we can take a look at your scenarios. So I think so lender able to reject the application. First two green ones are good ones, right? Positive ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Why did you change the can to cannot?
Oh, it
cannot
was
to can?
both of them were same. Oh wait, let me see what did I had before. Lender cannot change it. So there looks the same, right? Lender
Okay.
So that's why I changed it to like can. Lender
Okay.
can change the
That's
status.
fine. That's fine. But let's take a look at see what you have for the positive first, right?
Yeah,
What they are
so-
able to do.
So lender able to reject the application. I mean, he's able to
Okay.
approve or reject.
Well, so approve is separate, right? Whether
Yeah.
either they can approve it
Yeah,
or
it's
they
separate.
can reject it. So you have to test
Reject
both.
it. Yeah.
Can I approve it? Can I reject it? Right? So
Yeah,
those
so-
two scenarios
yeah.
are there, two separate
Okay.
ones.
Yeah.
Now, cannot change the status. What does it mean? I mean, I'm now looking at a negative one that you guys have.
That
First one.
one.
Or one of them, right? Both are same.
So
So we
yeah.
have cannot change the status.
So the status.
I mean, basically. Okay, yeah. You go ahead, John.
So they cannot change this status means the status is approve, reject or approve is the status, right? So so one scenario can be if they what if they cannot able to change their status to approve or reject, so that can be the negative. So what lender if the lender cannot change the status to approve or reject, so that's why we put I put like
Is there any other? Yeah, go ahead, Dilip.
So let's talk. Let's pause it for a moment, right? So when a dealer submits the credit application, and then email comes to lender, and then logs in, what is the status of application at that point?
Dependent.
Right. So it's a pending, right?
Yeah.
So the first two scenarios says, hey, from a pending, I'm going to change status to rejected. Right?
Yeah.
The third thing is, what if it is in the pending status and I go ahead and put in approve? That's a valid scenario. But what if the application that I pulled in was already in approved status? Should I be able to change it?
To reject.
So if the lender approve that application, he able to reject that. I mean, is that
Yeah, let's say if application was already in the approved status, and I log in as a lender, should I be able to go ahead and change that from approve to reject?
Maybe not.
No.
Why not?
he I mean, yeah, so he able to reject that application, which is he already approved.
Yeah, should I be able to do that? And I heard a couple of
that's
them
I
say
think
it's
that's what they
no.
said by
So tell me why not?
So because it's already approved. So once it's approved, you cannot go on and change it, right?
Oh. So that's why the requirement, I think by changing status, he need to approve or reject. I mean, that's what the requirement. If he once he approve, then he can reject, maybe.
Right. So there are things you need to think it from the business point of view. Think around what happens when lender moves the application from pending to approved. The email goes to dealer, right?
Yeah.
Dealer says, oh, it's approved. They go ahead and fix the car, and now they're expecting a payment.
Correct.
At that point, if the lender changes the mind and says, no, I can't approve it, I'm going to reject it. Is that a good scenario for dealer? It's not, right?
Not, yeah, no.
That's where you have to have a clarity in the requirement. It says, yes, lender can only approve or reject credit application by changing status as long as it's in pending status. If it is not in pending status, then you should not be able to change it. That's where your two negative scenario comes in. If it was approved, you can change it to rejected, or if it was rejected, you can go back and change it to approve.
Yeah,
Isn't
and if
it
you have,
supposed to be
Yeah,
in the just a question, isn't it supposed to be the requirement, like it says that lender can only approve or reject credit application by changing status, and only he can do this only when it is in the pending status? Isn't the requirement complete in
Well-
this case, in that case?
Well, where is the requirement which says that it should be in the pending status? Then only they can change it.
Then how
Right?
would
That's
we,
the missing part of the requirement,
right?
right? Because the way it is
So-
read, it's an ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would not be able to, come out with the other two. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you are thinking around, looking at the requirement and doing a 3C&T and trying to draw the different scenarios, you also need to think about it. Is it in accordance with the business process? If not, then you should ask those questions, right? To make
Yeah,
sure you have a
correct.
correct understanding of the requirement.
Okay.
Everybody assumed, right?
Yep.
As soon as you read that, hey, everything is fine. All I can do is approve or reject.
Correct.
And then maybe I have
Correct.
some negative scenarios. But you need to understand why you have negative scenarios and what is the impact on the business.
yep. So it's a good learning exercise, right? Because sometimes it looks simpler, right? This requirement looks very simple.
Yeah.
But then there is some missing part, and that's why I think we identify like 24 hours just for reading this, understanding the requirement, right? That's where I think you spend most time analyzing when you are reading the document, right? It first time, yes, you guys are seeing this document for first time. Yep, it doesn't make sense. You're gonna read it just like a novel. But as you start gaining more understanding of the business process and other things, then you will strike. You need to come back with the clarification or have a discussion with the business analyst or business and get the clarity around the requirement. Because these scenarios, you probably need to think it through. This type of things in the real life.
Okay.
But it's a good discussion here, right? Because this is a learning exercise for all of us. Okay. Now, so we have two positive scenarios, and I think you guys understand the negative scenario as well, right? Once the clarity is there, you can only change from pending to approve or rejected, basically, right? So you should not be able to change it, basically approve back to reject or reject back to approve. From the validation standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those can be, you just want to see it. Can I change approve to reject? You can have just one scenario, just mark it down and see if you try to access approve application, see if you can do anything with the status, right? You shouldn't be able to do anything at that point. Approve or rejected credit applications.
Yeah, so we have to check the status. So
Yeah, check the
before
status. Yep,
approve.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
got it. Yeah.
After approve or after you reject the application and see if you are able to do anything else with that.
But because I was thinking that in the pending position, maybe there's some more information that the lender might need. And so once it's pending, you know, they can go for the information that they need, whatever, to fix it before they can approve it. Or reject it.
No, lender cannot see that's where you need to look at the other requirements together, right? Because it says lender cannot modify any data other than the status.
Yeah.
That's the next requirement you have. So lender cannot do anything with the information, anything with the data. They cannot change anything except approve or reject.
So lender cannot reach back to dealer and say, hey, dealer, I'm missing some information. It's pending, but you know.
Well, system shouldn't be able to allow submission because there are rules, right? So in order to submit a credit application, they have to have a complete application. Then only they can submit. Otherwise, it would be waste of time for lender going back and forth.
Okay.
Right? That's how generally in the real life the systems works.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how Arfloan is expecting as well. Everything is complete in the application. They are able to submit. Without that, it will not even let them submit credit application.
Okay.
But as a tester, you need to validate the credit submission flow. That comes as part of the submission process. What is required field, what is required information, that's a whole other test cases that you have to validate as part of the credit application submission. Okay. So is everybody clear on this part? There are not many scenarios here, right? I mean, 1, 2, maybe 3. You can note it down and work through that.
So I can, Harris, I can leave it like this, right? So lender cannot change the status. Can I leave it?
So you need to do it 4, right? So the first one is the lender able to change the application or reject the application by changing from pending status to reject.
Okay.
Right. Second scenario is they are able to approve the application by changing the status from pending to approved. The third negative scenario you're going to have is lender cannot change the status if the application is in approved status.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And the fourth scenario is lender cannot change the status if the application is in rejected status. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's 4 scenarios. So you have 3. You need to do it. 4th scenario too.
Already approved.
Already approved.
Yeah, already approved.
Then cannot change the status.
And another one's gonna already reject, right?
Rejected.
Right.
Yeah, already rejected.
Okay.
Yep.
Rejected. Yeah.
Okay.
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 All right.
All right. So I'll let you do that. Let me pull up the other requirement meanwhile, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And let's take a look at the other requirement, which is lender cannot modify any data.
Data. Okay.
Yeah. So has anybody done that other than G1 and Bhagyasri? If you want to share, I mean, please go ahead and share because I think we want to see different folks. Otherwise, we can stop here. If you are, hopefully, this exercise gives you idea now. How do you go about breaking down the requirements? in what we are expecting. Because every requirement going to be different. Okay, yeah, no matter we do 5, 6, 10, 50, everything, if 51 would be completely different.
Okay.
So that's the reason we are asking other folks to see if you want to share, because we want to see your thoughts.
So question, Harris.
Yeah.
So we during making these scenario, so
Yeah.
can we make it longer, like this longer word? Because we were thinking that it has to be short as possible.
No. Because when see, these scenarios are nothing but it helps you organize the test cases. Okay. When we say test cases, you're gonna write individual test case. Lender is able to reject the application by changing the status from pending to approve, or lender is able to. You have to write it in longer words anyway when you create a document, the test cases.
Okay, I mean we can write the sentence, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
So
it's
here is what
you organize.
Yeah. So here's what I would say, Jivan.
Yes.
Write as much information as you needed to distinguish it from one scenario to the other scenario.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're able to write it in one word, write it in one word. But in order to distinguish between the two scenarios, you have to write like it's 3 sentences, write 3 sentences.
Okay.
Right? But somebody should be able to take a look at this tree and understand it. What are the 4 scenarios you're talking? Right? Now, if the way you're typed it up here, that we're sharing the screen, if somebody reads it, hopefully it's very clear to them what are the 4 scenarios are. Right? So then you have sufficient information. So don't think it when you're doing a scenario, it has to be 1 or 2 words only.
Okay.
If you can get it done in 1 or 2 words, great. Then don't write a thesis. Right?
Yeah.
The detail is going to be in the test cases, which we're going to talk how to write it on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyone else like to present their work? I mean, if you guys haven't done it, I mean, then we can give you guys time to do it between now and Sunday.
Which one are we on? 2.6.
Yeah, so we have two additional requirements, right? That we haven't talked about today. So we like to see other folks' work.
Yeah. So here's what I would recommend. If you've not tried it, right? We talked through 3 different requirements. So now you have understanding how to go about it. Yes or no?
Yes.
And if you need to read the requirements document again, just go read it. I mean, right now, I think it should give you a little bit better picture about the system requirements and other things, right? Because you need understanding of that in order to write the scenarios.
Okay.
So in this, basically, you when it says lender cannot modify application data, it means he cannot add any new data or he cannot delete any data.
Well, what's your understanding?
Think of this way.
Yeah.
So we need to verify that, I mean, as a tester, he cannot do that, right? I mean, he not able to edit that. We need to, I mean,
so if you have to say the sentence in positive or like a positive terms, it needs to, all the information is read only visible to the lender except status, right?
Yeah.
Now,
so that's yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's think about for a moment the ramification. If let's say you are applying for a loan.
Okay.
You applied it, you submitted your application.
Okay.
Do you want the lender to double the loan amount on your behalf?
No.
No.
right?
That would be a separate
you-
credit application, right? Or you have to submit a new one.
Right.
wanna
Do
do it.
you want lender to go ahead and change your social security number?
No. So
Right.
that's why yeah.
So think about it, right? What is driving that requirement? Why they should not be able to change anything? Right? So now that you
Right.
understand the context, why they should not be, right?
Yeah.
Look it on the flip side. How are you going to validate it? As Herschel pointed out, right?
Oh.
If you make the entire application read-only for lender,
Mhm.
then they can't change anything, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So your task then is to just validate when a lender pulls up application, is everything else shows up in a read-only status with the exception of a status field,
Okay.
right?
Makes
And
Okay. Yeah.
when you do that, right, the answer will be simply, it is true that it's everything is read-only, or it is false that some parts are editable. So just by using one test case, if it passes, then you know it is working. If it fails, then you are able to edit it, and you should not be able to. Right? So in that particular scenario, you have only one test case to worry about.
So is the right one, like lender only can see the application? I mean, is that the scenario?
I would
mean,
not say can only see the application, right? Here, the keyword is read only,
read only. Okay.
right? So lender can see application as a read only application only,
Okay. Read.
right?
Okay. Read application.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm just trying to find out this, not just for the purpose of this example, but generally, when it
Yep.
comes to the test scenarios, is it always going to be positive and negative, or there are some cases where it has to be positive only? So for instance, with the one we are talking about now, which is the lender cannot modify an application. Once we do the positive test, do we have to kind of still stretch our minds to kind of figure out if there is a negative
So-
test scenario? Or
So
always
Thomas,
there's
the way
always
I would put it is, what are the different combination you need to test it to make sure that the requirement is fulfilled? And in some cases, you needed both positive and negative cases. And
Okay.
in some cases, all you need is positive. And when that positive fails, it covers that. Remember what I say, that a good test case is when it is not redundant,
Okay.
right? So in this case, if I say, hey, lender is able to edit it, and the second one is lender is not able to edit it, aren't those mutually exclusive? That means if I do one, and if it fails, it automatically indicates the second scenario. So if I write two different scenarios, then one of them is redundant. Therefore, all I need is one test scenario in this case,
Okay.
right? And that may not be always the case, right? As we saw it in the other requirement, you have to do both positive and negative to make sure the application works as expected or requirement is fulfilled as expected.
Mhm.
So can we say on this one, like it's just lender is not able to modify and it's read only?
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Okay.
That's everybody writes differently. How you want to write it? Unable to
Okay.
edit, read only.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's whichever way, plain English, right? So
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I put read only, but I guess I did so too much work. That is not necessary. Okay.
Right,
Read only
right.
and
Yep,
okay.
yep. Yeah, not everything is complex, right? I mean, you can keep it simple. Certain things. We tend to overthink sometimes. When somebody gives you a simple problem, we try to think why this guy is giving me this problem. Must be some complex thing. No, not like that.
Yeah, that's what happened with Bhagyashree and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We overthink.
We
Yep,
just
yep.
overthink actually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it comes
That's
with the
okay.
experience as well.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yep.
So
As
does
you
it
learn more, right? That's when you're going to say it, right? Go back to the example that I was saying. The first time you were in the first grade, doing an addition 2 plus 2 was hard, right? Once you came to the
Yeah.
third grade, it was very simple, right? Muscle memory. Same thing. The more the test cases you will write it, the more the requirements that you will analyze for the tree, the easier it will become it to spot the different scenarios.
I got a question.
Just yours.
So, the same, I think it's 2.62. They're changing the status and not able to modify. Is it not the same thing? Changing
No,
status.
those two are different.
There are different requirements, right, Joyce?
So one is talking about changing the status of the application.
Okay.
The other one is talking about the data residing within the application.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'll access the query.
All right. So I think Dilip, we can let them work on the one last one. I think we have it, right? Let's see what they come up with.
Right. But Herschel, what I would just say is, has anybody attempted to do the last one other than Jivan and Bhagyashree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I do want them to try it, because that's where they're going to learn it.
That's right. That's right.
No,
I think we still have to cover two.
6.3.
Yeah. So we covered 4. You still have to cover 2.
No,
But my
we
first
covered
question.
5. We covered 5, Dilip.
We did?
So we have one
Yeah.
last one left. So
okay. So let me ask a question.
Did
right?
we cover 2.1 and 266?
So can you stop sharing, Jivan and
Yeah.
Herschel, if you can share the
let me
document?
share.
Let's go through it. Right.
Yep. So we just talked about this guy. We have not talked about this one yet.
So 2.1 is not there. And then
Yep.
2.6.3, 2.1, right?
Covered it.
So we did not cover those two. Ability to search by lender,
Okay.
right? Herschel, we covered the first 2.
Yeah, we
We have not
this
covered
one.
third and that. So let me ask a question. Has anybody written tree for those 2 that we haven't covered so far, other than Jivan and Bhagyashree?
I attempted.
I did that. The ability to search lender by lender's name. You got it? Yeah.
Why
Okay.
don't we then just choice? Why don't you share it? Let's just talk through that ability to search lender by lender name.
You know,
Did you send me, Joyce?
Yes, I did. But you know, mine is long. It's probably not necessary.
That's okay.
But I sent it to you.
Let's look through it. Let's talk through it. How would you change it?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out which one is
this
can
is
only
the
approve
approve
Not this
reject.
one, yeah. Let me see.
Yep, this is the one she has it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully
so
folks
talk
can
through
see
it. Joyce, what is your thought process? Talk through it.
Oh.
When does this come into play?
Yeah. So
Right.
lender.
What module? Yep.
Okay.
Hey.
Ability to search lender by lender's name. So to me, I was thinking lender name should be in the system for you to be able to search for the lender, which is the company. I'm thinking.
So what module is this?
This is module.
So business process. What are they trying to do here? When they say ability to search lender by lender name, when this will come into picture in terms of the business process?
Okay, so now that means after the lender is already in the Arfloan system, which is the company who will be doing the the loaning, the financial loaning to the, once a dealer does the application, so they can send it to the lender who is already in the system, or they can use the lender.
That's not where this requirement comes into play.
So the dealer is not searching for the lender?
So look at the what module it belongs to. Which module it belongs to?
Would be the managed lender.
Okay, so what is the capabilities of the managed lender? What are they trying to do when they say managed lender?
Basically,
what are they trying to do?
Search lender by the lender name. And
No, I mean, what that module is supposed to do? What is that functionality? Grouping. What that functionality do in general?
2.6.3.
Managed lender.
Yeah, what does it do? In general, like high level, right?
I'm talking about high level. Whatever the lenders, basically you should be able to find out who the lenders are, right?
In the system, right? Somebody has to set up lender, right? Somebody, so when they are trying to set up a lender, or they want to find the existing lender, basically they will come and they will look up the lender information in the system. But it's not when the dealer is submitting the credit app, right? It's a different module.
Go on with
Does it make sense?
Go on with please.
So my question is, you said when they set up so the dealer is not already in their system at all?
No, dealer doesn't come in the picture here, right? Now, who is doing this work? Who has ability to do the lender search or access to the lender module, manage lender
that
module?
site administrator.
Arfloan. Who's this?
The Arfloan rep or the area manager?
Area is right.
Regional
or site admin.
Yeah.
Somebody at a higher level access. Somebody the Arfloan people, right? When they sign up a new lender, they come here and they set up the lender.
Right.
Right. That's what this module is supposed to do, right? If you look at the business process section, right, it talks about what happens, who signs up what new lender, and they come to the lender manage lender module, and they will set up the new lender. Okay, so it's all about lender here. There is no dealer. So now you understand the context here. Let's talk about this requirement. What are they doing here with this requirement? And how would you test it? So why would you search a lender? Can anybody tell me why would you search a lender in the managed lender module? What's the purpose?
You have to assign lenders to the dealers?
No.
Is that part of the managed lender module?
No, whether the lender is active or dead, or is he doing the business or not?
Okay, there is no active dead. It's for the dealer.
Yeah. Right.
There is nothing for the lender, right? But they want to set up the lender. Maybe they want to look up the existing lender information. They will come and try to find out the existing lenders. That's where they need to search for it, right?
Yeah.
When you go to doctor's office, they will ask for your social security name, whatever. They will look up you first.
Yeah.
And then they pull up your information. That's the process they are trying to do here.
Okay.
Okay. So now you understand what is that, Saujanya?
So they'll just look up for the lender before actually creating a lender user. That's what it is, right?
It's not before creating. They are just looking up the existing lender, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
Can we check is the valid lender or not? Like, I mean, is the valid, like, I mean, is the correct lender or not? Is that the scenario? Like,
well, how do you, so what are you going to validate here when you say ability to search lender by lender name? So what is for you as a QA? What would you validate? How would you validate this requirement?
By the correct name, maybe?
By inputting the name.
Okay. So if you are a user, right, you just put basically name and try to search it and see if that guy shows up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's take an example, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to search it to see if Chase exists in the system as a lender or not.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? You'll search by
Check
Chase,
his
right?
by name,
By name,
yeah,
Chase.
by
Yeah.
name, yeah.
By
And you'll
full
say
name.
it's if the Chase is there or not, right?
Yeah.
Right, right.
So, okay, can I search by just C? Am I expecting Chase here?
So you will search by first name, last name again here. Is it?
Wait a minute.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Let's talk through it. Where is the first name, last name? Does Chase have a
It's not
first name and last name?
Does the company
no,
has
no,
first
no.
Oh,
name and
it's
last
a
name?
it's a
No, no.
company.
Company, right?
Yeah, it's a company. Yeah.
So search by name in that case, just name any
Right.
company.
But what
You can
Herschel's
search by the
question is,
address.
No, so it's the missing. I mean, requirement like lender name, but there is no mention. I mean, the company name, like which company or
well,
Well,
it's not lender username. It just says lender name, right?
yeah.
So what part is missing?
So I think you need the lender's full name, because if like Dilip you said, Chase is a JP Morgan Chase. So what if you don't put a full name in there?
Well, that's Herschel's question. Can you search by a partial name?
Okay. So I put it down. Okay, partial name. No.
so you can search by
Maybe
full name.
it's not consistent. It's invalid data.
Again, let's finish one discussion at a time, right? Let's
Yeah.
hold on to invalid data first. Let's just first answer a question. Can I search by Chase, or like it as Joyce pointed out, is JP Morgan Chase?
If
So
you want,
if I search by Chase and Chase shows up and JP Morgan Chase shows up, is it working as expected? Am I searching by full name, full lender name Chase, right? I'm searching by Chase, right? Now, if the JP Morgan Chase also shows up, am I getting invalid
Okay.
result?
No.
No, you will just get the like. I mean the Chase, like the
Right.
location,
So
like
so
so
let's
many.
say
Yeah.
let's say in the system, the lender name is stored as JP Morgan Chase. If I
Okay.
search by Chase, should it show up?
Yes, should.
If I search by JP Morgan Chase, should it show up?
Yes.
Right. So the question there is, in the first scenario where I just searched by Chase, that was a partial name.
Right.
Second scenario is a full name.
Exact match
Right.
and partial match, right? Exact match. So
Exact.
JP
Okay.
Morgan
Exact
Chase.
match.
So I see only JP Morgan Chase. I don't see JP Morgan Chase ABC. I just see JP Morgan Chase only in my search result. That's
Right.
called
So-
exact match.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If I search by JP Morgan Chase, so I see JP Morgan Chase plus I see JP Morgan Chase at Polaris. There are two search
Right.
results.
Right.
So in the name, second one has JP Morgan Chase Polaris, kind of like that. So that's a partial search. Okay, because it
Okay.
matches whatever is in the
system.
name
System.
partially.
System. Yeah.
System.
Yeah, it's exact name or part of the name.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Now the question is, how do you know it's a part of the name? So when there is a part of the name is when the name starts with that part that you provided, or it's anywhere in the name.
Yep.
Right. So for example, if you're searching by for Dilip, right, and you
Right.
search with D, that means it's start of the name, that it should show up. If you search by P, should it show up? Because it didn't start with P, it ended in a P, it contains P, right?
So essentially, you need to understand the search here by lender name, right? I mean, the requirement is straightforward, but you need to, is it complete? You need to have a little bit clarity in your mind, okay? With the partial name searches, understanding of that, how it should be implemented, how they are planning to implement, and what business needs, basically. Right? So does it support partial searches or exact searches, exact name search? That's something you need to clarify here. And typically most of the time what you're gonna see in the system is it always partial searches. Now, as Dilip said, partial searches can have a lot of variations. Starts with, ends with, anywhere in the string, and so forth. So that's a little bit different combination from the search standpoint. So search can get really complex. What I'm trying to say is it can get really complex. But I think for here, Dilip, we can just go with the partial search. I think I can provide a clarification here. Search lender by partial lender name. Okay, and that would be suffix enough for these guys for scenarios.
So in that case, right, there is only one scenario. As long as that name contains within whatever the lender name is, then it will show up.
Right, anywhere, yep. So if I search by Chase, if I have JP Morgan Chase, if I have Chase JP Morgan, second bank called Chase JP Morgan, or if I have third bank called Chase, they all three will show up in that scenario.
Yeah.
As long as the name has Chase, it will show up. If I say C only, any bank that contains C in the name, it will show up.
Right.
Right. So in this scenario, right, now I want you guys to think around it, right? You have to make sure you do two different test cases. One is where there is only one and exact one match.
Yep.
And the other scenario is when the return results can potentially return more than one result.
Yep.
So you have to show that it is possible to bring both the search results. Okay. So you have two scenarios, right? There is only one entry with that name, and there are more than one entry that matches that name. Those are the two scenarios.
So I'm going to share it quickly here. All right. Oops. That's what I was sharing. Okay, I just need to switch it. Search can get complex. Okay. So search lender by partial name. Okay, so here, Dilip, the scenarios that you have laid out is
full name or like the partial name with one
partial name
with only
more than
one entry in the system.
With one entry, one record in the system.
Right. And then second scenario is partial name with more than one record in the system.
Greater than or equal to one record.
Yeah.
Well, greater than one.
Well,
record.
it's just greater than. There's no more equal to.
Yeah. Greater than one record in the system.
Yeah.
So if I search by Chase here, right? So I still see Chase, JPM, or I can see JPM Chase. Okay. What we are saying here, if I search by Chase X, I will see Chase X, whatever, that record, JPM Chase X, something like that, which is only one record in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the result will pull both. Okay, any question here?
All right, let's
So
swap.
question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joyce.
You said the first one that you put in a partial name, is it because it's Chase? It's also going to pull up JP Morgan Chase because it has Chase in it?
No, we are searching for Chase X. This is our search string.
Okay.
We are not searching for Chase. Okay.
Chase X, okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
here, let's say we have 3 records, right? So JPM Chase X will show up here if we search by Chase. Okay,
Yeah.
the second one. But the first one, it will match
Yes.
exactly Chase X, JPM Chase X, only one record. It will show.
Okay. Okay.
It will ignore Chase JPM because it's not matching with the string.
Yes.
But it's all your data, how you set up your data. Okay.
Yes.
But you need to test both scenarios, both test case.
Okay.
What will be the negative scenario here?
You can say, what
So
if I
there's no
do
data, right? So if
no
I try
data,
to
right?
search it without providing anything,
Mm-hmm.
is that permitted? I don't know, right? That's the clarity that you need to ask the end user. Should I be able to
If I
search it
don't,
without putting anything, then what should it return?
No. Okay.
Because there are 2 possible ways, right? One is if I don't put anything and click on search, then potentially I may get an error message that you have to provide a name. Or the other alternate is I get everything in the system. So you have to ask
yes,
for that clarity to the business user. Hey, how would system behave if you do not provide a search? So if you go into Google and don't provide anything and try to search it, what happens?
it says it's my lucky day. That's what it says, right?
Mhm.
In Google.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what it says. Something about your lucky day.
Yeah, just try it.
I'm getting lucky or something.
Right. So the point I'm making it is you need to understand all those scenarios and then ask explicitly, what is the expectation in these scenarios? Then only you can write the test case, right? Hit enter.
Well, it doesn't let me do anything.
No, just hit enter.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, right? It forces you that
Yep.
you have to enter something.
Something. See, I'm feeling lucky, right? So
That's a different
yeah,
thing because you are like, it just kind of says, put a random
that's a
search for
different
me.
functionality. Yeah.
That's a different feature.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
That's not
it
the
doesn't
search
do anything.
feature, right? So
Yep. That's
So
right. That's right.
try
Yep.
to see it if you can just do
Yeah,
a
I'm
Google
pretty
search by
curious.
hitting that.
Right. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. It doesn't.
Right,
let you
because
search.
it's asking you that you have to provide some data, at least
That's
A,
right.
B, or C, some string.
Right. Okay.
Any question on this one? Do you understand what happens here? By staying quiet, it doesn't help anybody. I have no idea, right? It's an ambiguity.
So we are
I cannot
Yeah.
determine whether you understood or not.
Yeah.
It's
Don't worry. You guys have like another 200
So-
requirements. So.
My question is, let's say you have to search for JP Morgan Chase and you kind of mentioned like JP Morgan Chase has several locations and I'm trying to look for a specific location for JP Morgan Chase. Do you feel like we have to create a test scenario which doesn't just allow you to search by name, but also by address, or
No, so
or even
again,
the search results would
so
display?
Thomas, what you are doing right now is what I said, don't ever do it.
Okay.
You are adding requirements. The requirement says just search by lender name. What you're saying is that, hey, it should also be required to search lender by address.
Okay, but what I'm trying to find out is if you search JP Morgan and you have, let's say, 5 or 6 JP Morgan shows up because it's different locations, how are you able to locate the exact location that you want?
Well, that's
So
the key.
when it returns the information, right? It may not be just the name. It might be returning location as well.
Okay.
Franchise number as well, right? So
Okay.
it's not just when you search in Google, it just doesn't return only that word. It has more information on the so that you know exactly what you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how user will narrow it down. What location, franchise number, maybe what zip code it might return as well. So. Okay. Yeah, but it's a good question, right? How would they narrow down? They will look at the information on the screen and they'll figure out what is that I need to drill down into, or which record I need to pick.
So let me say like on this requirement, it's just the lender. So if Chase shows up, it doesn't matter where it does, at least it's in the system. We know that the Chase is already in the system.
Well, what if you are searching by partial name and nothing
Yeah.
shows up,
Yes.
then is system not working?
Mhm.
Or is system working? How would you tell? Let's say I search Chase, right? Nothing shows up. How do you know say it's working or not working?
System must be
Okay.
working, right?
No, if I search by Chase,
Mhm.
nothing shows up.
Then that means there is nobody by that name, Chase. That's why nothing is showing up if it's working.
But how do you know there is nothing by that? So does it mean you're gonna fail your test case? So if my test case says I'm searching by Chase and I'm expecting Chase information to show
Mhm.
up,
Yeah.
now nothing shows up, whose fault is that?
Then there is an error in the system. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
is it really error, or you as a QA you did not set up any test data? So that's where the test data comes into picture, and I
Right.
think we'll talk on
Okay.
Sunday what you need to do in order to execute your test cases properly. That's the repeatability, right? So make sure you have the right test data available so that you can run your test case over and over again, and it will produce the same result every time. Because one time you run it, it shows up. Second time you run it, it doesn't. Your test data is incorrect, most likely.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So everybody good with this, right? I think you guys will get more opportunity to work through a little bit more in the classroom as well, in the groups on Sunday. So we'll get you a few more to work in the groups and teams so that you can have more practice. But make sure you guys read the requirements, okay? You have to understand the requirement, understand the context of the requirement.
Yeah, and make an attempt, right? The key thing is that
Yeah.
the more the effort you try to do it, then we can talk about and talk through it. What you were thinking, is it in the right direction? What you're thinking it is not in the right direction because you didn't understand the context of the requirement.
Right.
That's bound to happen, right? So we can start having a conversation. But if you don't attempt anything, we don't even know whether you tried it or not.
Okay. So I think we have one requirement left, right? So we expect you guys to work through that that requirement. Make sure everybody has that test case, that's a test tree attempted prior to Sunday. Okay. We are not giving you anything else, right? Between now and Sunday, that's one test case. Make sure you finish up. Make sure you revise your trees, right? Based on what we discussed today. And finish
It's
up
an
your tree.
important, right, that you
Right.
finished revising all the 5 trees based on what we discussed today and draw that 6-3. Because on Sunday, when we look through the final tree, then we're going to start writing the test cases. And then you're going to use those trees to write some of the test cases within the class also.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other question before we wrap up for the day?
The last
Not
one is
me.
completely different as I understood. So
Okay. All right. Great.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys on Sunday then, 8:45. Just try to be by 8:50. Please make sure you guys are there. Yeah, I think those who are logging in, please make sure you guys log in by 8:50 as well. So, yep, there's a lot of exercise on Sunday. It's pretty much all the
Okay.
work you guys will be doing in the teams. So,
Okay.
Thank you,
Alright.
Harshal. Thank you,
All
Dilip.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
bye.
Good night.
Yep. Yep.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Can I ask if the
Yeah. Go ahead,
2.1 is
Praveen.
complete? 6.6?
2.1. Yes.
Yeah, that we
2.1.
have to do.
The one
Yeah.
that we did not discuss.
They
Yes.
can only, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Can only
Well,
access the
let
credit
me ask you a
application
Yeah.
question.
assigned to them.
Hang on, Sojourner. Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Right? Because you are asking wrong question.
Yeah.
You're asking is the requirement complete or not?
What
As a
is your
quality
question?
assurance,
Yeah.
you have to take what part of that thing it's not clear to you and
Well,
ask those clarifications.
it said they can only access the credit application assigned to them, but I
Yeah.
don't know how they get an email and probably they get a ID and they search by it and then access it. Is that how they
Again,
go
you're
by?
trying to solve it.
Oh.
Don't try to solve it.
Okay.
Try to understand the requirement.
What does it mean when they say lender can only access the credit application assigned to them? What does it mean to you?
So they get an email and they are able to access
No.
that
You're thinking in the
application
There is
wrong
no
direction.
email,
or
right?
any other application.
What if I don't get the email? Then what do I do?
Yeah. Does it mean my requirement is not correct?
So,
Is it what you're thinking?
let me ask a question. When you read that requirement, right, the way you want to think about it, is there going to be more than one lender in the system?
Of course, there are many lenders.
Right. So then that requirement interprets as if I'm a lender and if you're a lender, if there are applications assigned to me, should you be able to access them?
If it's assigned to me, yes.
No. If I'm
No.
another lender
Mhm.
and there is an application assigned to me, can Soujanya logged in as other lender and access the application that is assigned to me?
No. He shouldn't.
Well, that's the requirement, right?
So
So what
that's
part,
we need to,
when you ask the question, is it complete or not? Well, what question you have it in your mind? Because in reality, you can't go to your business user and says, hey, did you give me the complete requirements document? They're going to say, yes, of course I did. It is your job to understand, and if it's not clear to you, to ask the question so that requirement is clear to you. Right.
So if I'm logged in as a lender, I will only see the applications assigned to me.
That's what its requirement
Why would I
says.
even see the applications assigned to someone
Well,
else?
Again, that is what you have to prove it.
yeah. As a tester, you are proving that functionality is working as expected. So you need to wear different hat here. Okay. So think it through. Okay. I'm not just telling you. I mean, I'm telling everyone. Just think it through. How many lenders you need in order to prove this requirement, and how many credit applications you will need. What scenarios you need to have to make sure this functionality is working as expected. You need, because you are a tester, you are a QA, you need to prove this in the system. The system is working as expected.
So in
So
other words, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Joyce.
I was going to say, so in other words, if you're able to log in and nothing's assigned to you, then nothing's assigned to you, you don't have nothing to work on. You shouldn't be able to go to anybody's work and do it, because you log into your queue and there's nothing there. That means there's nothing there for you to work on as a learner.
Well, you are the tester.
Yeah.
As I said, I think we haven't talked about test data yet, but it all boils down to what data you can create as a tester. You, as a tester, or you have access to create whatever you want in the system. 50 applications you need for testing, you have to create it as part of your quality assurance activities. And assign to different lenders, you have to do that as a part of the quality assurance activity. Nobody will assign to you. It's you are the responsible for making sure the functionality is working as expected. So that's why it's a very important role, QA. you have access to do anything in the system, anywhere, any user set, super user, lender, dealer, whatever. You have ability as a QA.
So here, basically here it might be like application, vendor is able to access application which is assigned to him. That is positive. And if he's able to access application assigned to some other lender, that would be negative. Is it?
I don't understand how they can actually access,
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
try to access an
again,
application assigned to someone else.
Right, so Jania, that's what you need to think through it.
Yeah. Think
That
it
is
through. I
what the
think
test cases is about.
That's right.
Okay, so think over it today, tomorrow,
Yep,
Saturday,
and maybe in the team as well as
and
a
write
team.
it the
Yep.
case.
Yeah. Yep. I think we'll give them a chance to. Maybe two brains are better than one. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep. But it's a very common scenario, right? I mean, you have a bank account, nobody else can access, but only you online, right? If somebody
Yes.
else can access that's a bad thing in the system, right?
So they are
So-
scammers.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah. So
it's
that's
kind
the
of
same thing here.
But
sorry.
you
Yeah,
have to
that's-
prove it, right? That nobody
to
else
prove it.
can access your bank account.
Yeah,
How are you going to prove it? That's what the right test case about.
okay.
And the scenarios are coming in the picture, right? So think it through, right? As we said, I mean, how you can do it, just think it through, and we'll regroup on Sunday. All right.
Yeah, and make sure you are either logged in if you're like it's virtual by
Yep.
8:45 or be in the office or by 8:45.
Yep.
So we can start on time
Okay.
at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It gives you time to
Okay.
settle down, gives times to address all of the logistical issues, and then still allows us to start at 9.
Okay.
Because we don't wait, okay? So otherwise you have to watch recording.
Okay.
And there will not be any recording because you will be working in the teams, in the groups. So Yep.
Okay.
So you're gonna get this recording, right?
we'll get you this recording, but
Okay.
not on Sunday. Sunday there won't be much recording unless
Okay.
we are reviewing your work,
Okay.
because you are working in the teams on Sunday
Okay.
and the
Thank
next week.
you.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
See you
Thank
guys
you.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.